No Greeny. Denied. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Well, it's finally happened. The Gibson Custom Shop has officially announced the Kirk Hammett Greeny Les Paul. However, Gibson has banned me from purchasing this guitar. So, let's learn all about it. Okay, first a little bit of history on what Greeny is. It's one of those very famous bursts where its history is kind of shrouded in mystery, but it has three very famous owners. The first one being its namesake, Peter Green. You know, he was known for using that throughout his time with Fleetwood Mac, and he later sold it to Gary Moore. So he played it with Thin Lizzy as well as all of his solo career. So that's a pretty good roster. This thing always used to be known as the Greeny Moore Les Paul. But not too long ago, Kirk Hammett, out of nowhere, buys this thing. So now we've got the Green Moore Hammett Les Paul. That's such a wide range of musical people. And who knows, maybe one day Hammett will pass the torch to the next generation of musicians. And the other interesting thing about this guitar comes down to the tone. You see, the neck pickup is installed upside down on this. Now, that's not the reason why in the middle position you get the weird honky-tonky out-of-phase tone. It's because the magnets were flipped in this one. And I remember when Kirk bought this, there were a lot of guys upset that he was the new owner. But you know what? He's taking this thing all over the world. It's not locked up in some collector vault only to be seen by private eyes. It's playing stages. And no, he didn't rip out the PAFs and put EMGs in it like everyone was thinking. So huge respect to Kirk Hammett for carrying the torch and keeping this thing out in the public. And I think it's cool that Gibson is reissuing this. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on here. This is a custom shop recreation that they are only making 50 of. And here's the big kicker. It's only available at the Gibson Garage. They are not sending these out to dealers. Is this going to be the future of how Gibson handles its ultra limited edition, highly desirable releases? Because my friends, these things are not cheap. These are, brace yourselves, $50,000. We're talking true vintage money here for something that was just created, and Gibson is getting every single penny of it. They completely cut the dealers out of this year's big release, and they're cutting the resellers out. I tried to buy one of these. They said, no, we're not selling to resellers. So I told them, okay, I'll keep it. To which they said, no, we're not selling to you at all. Gotta say, Gibson, I'm hurt. I'm one of your biggest, most vocal fans online. I really wanted to document this guitar. I've been looking forward to this trip all year long because I figured you would do something like that since that happened with the Carinas and I kind of missed out on that whole package trip last year. So I've been low-key really looking forward to this. But don't worry, I've got fans that are buying this, so we're going to review it anyway, whether I'm allowed to buy one myself or if I have to borrow it. So I'm sure most of you're ready to click off the video at this point. $50,000? Let's play a little bit of devil's advocate and see what they're actually giving you for this whole package. So it's Murphy Labs aged, which we've been seeing this get teased for quite some time now. I mean, here's one from 19 weeks ago on Cesar's Instagram page. Here's another one at 24 weeks. And when we played Cesar Says, I spoke up and said, you know, the aging's just not quite right yet. However, the stock photos that they've got going on here, it seems they might have refined it. Maybe the light's just hitting it in a different way. Perhaps this was just a particularly fine example that they decided to use for stock photography. Or who knows, maybe it's the original. But I've got to say, whatever you've done here, all my initial fears of this thing looking bad are gone. I think it actually looks quite good. I like the case that they've got going on here. The whole Green Moore Hammett, and like this is more worn than the Moore, and then Hammett's like brand new. I mean, it's perfect. Looks like we're going to get some cool case candy with it as well. And all the specs and details, you know, down to the nitty gritty as they always say, but they're also putting a Brazilian rosewood fretboard on here. But it looks like they're giving all these maybe his original serial number and then maybe potentially numbering them 1 out of 50 after that. But we've got some picks, maybe a custom strap. I mean, none of this is quite adding up to 50,000 yet. Here's the cool part, the experience of a lifetime. So for legal reasons, please note the experience is not included in the price of the guitar. The experience is an invitation extended by Gibson Brands. So you don't have to pay for it, but it's not part of the $50,000 price tag. I'm sure that has something to do with legal and or tax reasons. But you're gonna get the guitar for the $50K. You're going to get a one-of-a-kind evening with Kirk Hammett, which a lot of people were thinking was like a one-on-one talk with him or something, but no, it's not. You're basically just having dinner with him, and he's at the table along with you and 100 other people. But they're gonna give you dinner at Nashville's exclusive Soho House, which, looking at its website, kind of seems like a interesting place to eat. I'm sure I sound like a moron describing this. Like, people in Nashville are like, what are you talking about? This is the Soho House. And it's like, yeah, I don't get out of my small town too much. But it looks like fun. You get a private welcome reception with Gibson's leadership team. So I'm guessing you're going to get Curly, you're going to have Cesar, you might have Agnesi there. Maybe some of the other cool higher-ups. They want to see who's willing to pay $50,000 for these guitars and meet them on a personal level. Because that's what they did last year with the Karinas. If and only if you bought them from the Gibson Garage. Last year, you could actually buy those things at dealers. But then you get the exclusive backstage tour of Nashville's Gibson Garage. Okay, so Gibson's store right there. That's a pretty cool place. You can check out tons of videos of it. But they're also going to give you a tour of the vault. So that means you're going to get to see a real Greeny Explorer. You're going to get to see a real Burst. You'll see a real V, among other things. And then you're going to get a sweet little gift baggie from the Gibson Garage. But get this, check out the custom shop and meet the legendary Tom Murphy. That'd be cool to see some of the behind-the-scenes process. But then they're going to cover your travels as first class. I've never flown first class before. They're also going to give you an overnight accommodation at the Four Seasons Hotel. Oh, it's a giant skyscraper. Okay, yeah. The fanciest hotels I stay in are Holiday Inn. And if the site doesn't have prices on their website, you know it's expensive. I mean, these rooms look pretty nice. And you're going to get a COA with a photo signed by Kirk Hammett. I feel like that's just the regular COA, or is he going to sign it in front of you? If that's the case, that's really cool. So, do I think this package is worth $50,000? If you're a big Metallica fan like I am, I can see it being worth that money, even if you say, this experience right here is worth $20K to me, and the guitar is worth $30. Because that's kind of what I thought these were going to be priced at. They were going to match the Explorer and be like $30,000, have the Brazilian ones. And then after this, they're probably going to do like a regular custom shop that's not Brazilian. And they'll probably have those like priced between $10,000 to $15,000. And then they'll probably be limited edition. And then they'll probably do like a Gary Moore Les Paul standard in the 50s, 60s standard type thing. Who knows? Maybe you might even get an Epiphone one 3 or 4 years down the line. But that's kind of how I see them going with this. So if you're really bummed out, you're not going to be able to get this, because let's face it, $50,000 is crazy money for any guitar. $30,000, heck, even $10,000 is crazy money for any guitar. But this is an experience. I can see how this could be worth it to somebody. But I did find it strange Gibson is releasing these so early, because you can't pick it up till November 12th. But a viewer of the show who is in line for one of these sent me the contract that they send you if you do agree to buy one of these. It says all sales are final, but they do give you a 24-hour quality review period. But they let you know that you're also going to have to pay sales tax on top of that, which, by the way, if you're picking it up, you're going to have to pay Tennessee sales tax, which is nearly 10%. But they're only giving you 24 hours to make the payment, and they want it now, even though it can't ship right away. I found that kind of shocking, because a lot of rich guys, they have all their money tied up in investments. They need like a week or two to move things around, as they say. But I totally understand why Gibson wants payment up front. They want to see how many of these 50 have we already sold. They don't want launch day coming around and then everybody's flaking on them except for 5 people. And if this video has inspired you to want one of these, I'm sorry. First day, all 50 of them got spoken for. However, there is a waiting list. So as people don't make their payments within 24 hours, it's just going to get cycled down. I still think you have a chance if you're not in line yet, but I have no inside information here. But when you sign up, you have to have the names of both of the people that are going to be flying with you, and it doesn't look like you're able to change that. They're going to assign you a serial number right there. They're not letting you sell the experience to anybody. However, what's making me upset is there's no clause in here that says you can't even sell the guitar for like a period of 5 years years or anything. I fully expected that to be there when they were telling me no resellers. Under previous ownership of Gibson, when they would have employee sales, they made them keep the guitars for X amount of time. Like one time it was 2 years. And they have to physically bring that guitar back into the factory to prove that they owned it at that time, and then they can sell it. I'm shocked a similar clause wasn't thrown in here if they're actually trying to squash the resale market. Because every single person that I've talked to that was lucky enough to get in the spot and has one reserved is telling me they're just going to flip it. So, hey Gibson, what's with the discrimination? So technically, it doesn't look like you're not allowed to sell it as long as they agree to sell it to you in the first place. But since on your purchase contract they're keeping track of the serial numbers, I'm betting if your serial number shows up online, they are going to ban you from next year's release. So I'm thinking that's how they're going to police the whole no resellers thing. Because other than that, it's kind of hard for them to determine who is a reseller and who isn't. And does Gibson even have the right to tell somebody that they can't sell something that they legally purchased if there isn't binding contracting terms? So anyways, cool release. Congratulations to anybody who has the means to do this and has a great time meeting Kirk and all the other stuff. And I guess we'll have to see what else Gibson has in store. Because even Cesar's own page says this is just the beginning. However, what's really interesting about this thing and its price point is the fact that this is technically a reissue of a reissue. Collector's choice number 1 was the Gary Moore Les Paul. It was also aged. Now, maybe it wasn't a 1-for-1 replica, but I mean, these are pretty good. Now, it doesn't have the Brazilian rosewood fretboard, so that's a thing, but it looks like they were signed by Gary Moore. I can see the value of these things all of a sudden skyrocketing because of this new limited edition release. So, if you are a big rich collector guy and you want something and were unable to grab one of the 2022 versions, maybe see if you can check one of these things out. Because let's just say, if the new one looks anywhere as good as this, yeah, maybe minus the headstock, I'll be happy. All right, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care.